Back here on CBS Sports HQ, we're down in Charlotte, North Carolina. ACC Media Days kicked off, and today the spotlight will be on these teams. We'll get a chance to speak to the media. Zooming in here on Florida State, because questions will be asked and answers will be expected from Florida State's head coach Mike Norvell. What a roller coaster it has been the past 2 years under Coach Norvell, from 13-1, as you see there, to 2-10 this just past season. The pressure is certainly on, and Norvell knows it's time to get this program back.
You know, we all have a desired destination. Everybody wants to get to the top. Right, and we've seen that. A couple of years ago, we got to lift the trophy. Most people talk about it. We've seen it. We know what that looks like, right? But on the flip side of it, when you're climbing a mountain, there might be some times where you slip and where you stumble. But the most important step along the journey is the next one. And people that are willing, that regardless of the circumstance, regardless of what you find yourself in, that you're willing to take the step to go be your best, to put everything that you have in, right? And I don't want a team full of sidekicks. Right, I want guys that are willing to grasp it, to hold it, to push it, to step forward, and to go be it. Right, and that's what's needed. And that's what I believe that I'm seeing within this football team. That's what once again, we start fall camp next Wednesday. Right, and I want them to be pissed off to go be their best every single day. Right, it's not about last year. It's not about anything that they've done up to this point in their career. It's about this season, with each day and every step that's in front of us, to go put it on display for what you want to be. Don't talk about it. Let's go do it, right? And I feel the confidence within the team because, once again, I see their work, right? I believe in who they are. I believe in the journeys that they've had. And no player on our team has had a seamless, perfect journey. There's been ups and downs for every one of them. But when they come, and whether it was a recruiting process, whether it was the opportunity to come back and to be a part of what this team's going to be, I wanted guys that were on the edge of their seat, ready to go attack that work. And I can't wait to fall camp, because I'm going to challenge them every single day in everything you do, mentally, physically, relationally, all parts of it, because that's what the season's going to hold, right? And as we've seen that at an elite level, right, we also know we know how hard it is to win a game, to win a play, to win a rep, to obviously for what it takes for a season. But I believe in the group of guys that we've had that have come together.
Well, he does know how to get us fired up, that's for sure. Couldn't think of two better people to speak on the current state of this Florida State football program than our two guys, Kanell and Bryant McFadden. Look at this, the good old days. You got to love it. Let's go ahead and welcome our guys back to CBS Sports HQ. Kanell and Bryant McFadden joining us live from Las Vegas, the site of Big Ten Media Days. But, gentlemen, we're focusing on Florida State. We're going to get through this segment together. B-Mac, I'll come to you first. I guess the great news here is that it can't get worse, right, from whatever last season was. But what's your big, I'm not speaking too soon, but I'm just saying the win total is set at 7.5 right now. But B-Mac, what is your biggest question entering this season for the Florida State Seminoles?
I have a few.
Okay.
Will there be defined leadership being put on display week in and week out? I think that was an issue a year ago, and the reason why I say that is because when they lost to Georgia Tech in Ireland, I think the lack of leadership showed up because they never got over that loss. It felt like Georgia Tech beat Florida State another 4 times, because that was a very, very highly anticipated game based on the success from a year ago, and they flatlined and they lost, and they never got over that. You need leadership to kind of gather the troops week in and week out to get ready for the new task. And secondly, will they have sound production at the quarterback position? When they were undefeated in 2023, Jordan Travis was phenomenal. He was a leader on and off the football field, but he was overly consistent. We didn't see that from that quarterback position a year ago. Now in comes a new transfer in Thomas Castellanos. Will he provide that element that is needed for you to be successful in college football? So these are the things that I'm looking forward to see, and hopefully they can create that mindset and that type of production fall camp as they get ready for week 1 against Alabama.
I want to see if this team responds to Mike Norvell's energy, because you listen to that talk, it's impassioned, it's fired up, and you get emotional, but that emotion only lasts a little bit. Right? You can only ride on emotion so much. It's got to be deeper than that. And that's where I want to see what the character makeup of this team. And you called it leadership. I would totally agree with that. Where is the character of this team? Is this a team that's going to, if they lose to Alabama where they're a 12.5-point underdog at home, Do they throw in the towel, like they did last year, or do they battle back? Even in that game, if they go down early, do you see them with their heads down, or do they respond to some of the coaching they've received this offseason? And you mentioned the leadership, and that's probably one of the biggest question marks for me is the quarterback position with Tommy Castellanos coming to take over. And I know he was, probably about 6 weeks ago, he made some comments that really ruffled a lot of feathers when he called out Alabama, and he said Nick Saban's not there to save him anymore, and I can go to New York and win the national championship, and I can win a Heisman Trophy. And I didn't love the comments. I thought they were too over the top. But what I did like is I heard him after the fact saying, I'm trying to instill confidence in this team. I'm trying to build up their confidence by getting them to believe in me. So I want to see if they believe and respond to Mike Norvell, and I want to see offensively specifically, do they respond to this bravado from Tommy Castellanos?
B-Mac, before you respond to Danny's point, I do want you guys to go ahead and listen to something, because Danny brought up the comments that were made by Tommy Castellanos just a few weeks ago. The exact quote was, they don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me. Of course, he is referring to the season opener at home at Florida State against Alabama. This is what he had to say, again, about those comments at ACC Media Days. Take a listen to this.
I know we stand on what I said. But there's no disrespect between, that side of that team or anything like that. The confidence that I have in my teammates and the way we've been preparing and, putting this preparation together this offseason, I just feel confident in the guys and the work that we've been putting in.
Okay, so confirmation from the quarterback himself. He stands on what he said about Alabama entering into that season opener. B-Mac, your thoughts?
Well, when you put that out there, be prepared to embrace everything that comes with it. This is a different scenario for Thomas. He played formerly at Boston College. No disrespect to Boston College, and anytime someone says no disrespect, it feels like disrespect is coming. But the reality is Boston College and Florida State are two different things. The stage that he's about to embark in on, week one, I don't know if he's ever had that stage at Boston College. It was already a big game. Bama, Florida State, Tallahassee, nationally televised. But when you make those statements, now you've drawn attention not to the game but to yourself. So two things can happen. You stand on what you said and you ball out and Florida State wins. Or if you flatline, it's going to get real ugly. And that's the thing you talk about. Danny, you played at Tallahassee before I did. But you understand the lights there. It's already a bright stage. So when you stand on these things, like you say, if you want to say it, say it. Mm-hmm. But just know what comes with that. Because you play the most important position. You will touch the football every time. You could become a made man by talking about it and doing it. Mm-hmm. Remember Joe Namath? Mm-hmm. I wasn't born then, but of course I've seen the stories. I've looked at the clips when he guaranteed a win. Thomas didn't guarantee a win, but he said they're going to ball out. Joe Namath delivered, and that made him a made man. You can say whatever you want to say about Joe Namath, but when he's guaranteed we're going to win this Super Bowl and they won it, oh, no question, he was a prophecy. Mm-hmm. He prophesied. So, Thomas, you gave us an opportunity to hear you say what you said. Now, in a few weeks, we're going to see, can you live up to the billing? Mm-hmm. Because if you do, you're off and running.
I never would have said it in a million years.
No question. I wouldn't have said it.
Right. And I really, because I remember Coach Bowden, he would always preach to us, and it didn't matter who you were playing. You could be playing Wake Forest as a 4-touchdown favorite, and he'd make them sound like world beaters.
All the time.
You always praise the opponent. Yeah. And he's not taking shots at Bama like he said, but he did. I mean, he did take a shot at Kalen DeBoer, and by telling him you're going to ball against him, to me, I feel like he kicked the hornet's nest. Like, this is already a team that's kind of surly. Alabama has a lot of question marks. They need a bounce-back year. They're angry. And then you just kick this hornet's nest before this game? Like, good luck.
Yeah,
like,
stand on it.
Yeah. If he said stand on business, then go ahead and do it. As long as it's true to who he is, as long as it's not fake and generated, which I think maybe this is who he is, then by all means, go ahead and say it.
We're going to find out. And talking about Bobby, I remember he used to tell us all the time, hey, man, I'm going to make it seem like we don't have a shot. I'm going to just build them up. We don't have a shot, but just know we're coming. And we used to see him in the media talking about, oh, how good Duke was this and Duke that and Duke this. They're wide receivers and we don't know. You're like, what? That's Duke football. But he always used to give us the game plan within the game plan. He was going to build the other team up because he wanted them to be overly confident, and he wanted us to be fired up. And it usually worked in our favor.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, confidence is great. I love it. Now I'm torn after listening to you guys. I don't know which way to swing here, but there is such thing as being overly confident. So we'll find out week 1 against Alabama. Now, you know, odds makers right now, Danny, I'll come to you on this, have the win total set for Florida State at 7.5, the 7th best odds right now to win the ACC. Where are you at? Looking at this schedule here, what's your record prediction?
Jordan. Why you got to put me on the spot? Like,
I'm glad Danny's going first.
First of all, I will say this. 7.5 as a win total is embarrassing for the Florida State standard that's been set historically. But guess what? We're not living in history. We're living in the present. The 4 games that they're going to be tough is Bama, Miami, Clemson, and Florida. And, like, if you chalk those up as losses, like, I get why you would do that. And to me, I feel like, well, you've got to win the other ones. They're going to be, you know, favored in all those other games. But how do you chalk those up at W's after we saw last year? Losing to Duke for the first time in program history, losing at home to Memphis, losing at home to Boston College. Now, this is a new team. It's a new year. I'm going to go over because I think they steal one of those 4 big games. And I don't know if I don't trust them in the other ones, but I'm going to say 8-4. I'm going to say they go over.
I'm right there with you.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm right there with Danny. And the realness for this discussion is not about us being biased, but it's about us understanding the concept. When you look at the games, if you take care of the business that you're supposed to take care of against those said teams, you'll be okay. And if you have one of those games where you just kind of surprise a few folks, you'll be okay as well. But I'm taking the over because regardless of what happens against Alabama, the next 2 games should be wins. You look at the schedule. Can we pull the schedule up real quick, briefly, right? You look at let's look at the for sure wins. Now, granted, it's football; anything can happen. East Texas A&M. I don't even know where they're located. Somewhere in Texas, but I don't know where. Sorry, East Texas A&M. No disrespect. I don't know. Kent State. That should be a win. Stanford. That should be a win. Wake Forest. That should be a win. Virginia Tech. That should be a win. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. We got to get, 3 more. Virginia is the most important game in the first half of the season. Because regardless of what happens against Alabama, you win East Texas, you win Kent State. If you beat Virginia before you get to Miami, you're going to be okay. If you happen to lose that Virginia game, it could be ugly. And that's why I understand Alabama's very, very important, but that's a non-conference game and it's a national game. But Virginia's a team that was bad a year ago as well. That's the most important game because if you can win, you get that game, you go into that Miami week with momentum, then you get Pittsburgh at home, you could be really off and running. And that's why I'm taking the over because I do believe regardless of what happens against Alabama, you take care of the next 2 teams. Virginia, you beat Virginia, you're cooking with gas.
All right, here's one thing I will say, Jordan and B-Mac, and this bothers me because I hate even saying this because this is
so why
not
you
a
gonna
standard.
say it?
For Bama, like historically, again, you would say you got to win that game, right? I think it is imperative that they are competitive in that game because there is a fear, I think even in some Florida State fans, that Alabama just unleashes some of that anger and they come out and push Florida State around. I don't think it happens, but if it does, that could be the recipe for a long year because that'll rattle their confidence on a very young team that has a lot of new players that could rattle that confidence.
And that goes back to our leadership point.
Yep.
That's where the leaders step up because if that was to happen, and we're saying this as a hypothetical, what do you do the next few weeks?
Yep.
What do you do? And last year we didn't see them recalibrate the mindset to be able to get over that Georgia Tech loss, and it made it an ugly long year.
I love that we're taking the over, but as you can tell, for those watching at home, we're spinning. Our heads are spinning. A lot of questions. We're not so sure. Guys, let's just go ahead and start the support group chat now, shall we? That sounds good to me. You can get more from Danny and the guys' full analysis of not only ACC Media Days, but all conferences on the Cover 3 podcast, the best college football podcast out there to get you set for the start of the season. Check it out by scanning that QR code on your screen.